Hi, good evening to all. Just make sure you can hear the sound of my voice. Let me apologize. Of course, running some technical difficulties there, but everyone, majority is here, I hope, and you are well. Let us get ready to begin. And we're going to start. Let's bow our heads in a word of prayer. Dear Lord, we're gathered in your presence this evening. We thank you, dear Lord, that we can come together as persons invested in our children at Leicester One School. We ask, dear Lord, that what is said here, may it be to the fulfillment of you, dear Lord, for Christ's sake. Amen. All right, so a blessed good evening to all. Again, as I said, there's always some technical difficulties when you start and you're going with regards to the technology, but however, we are here, and just note that the information here is just in case of capacity. With the Zoom, you are able to visit or view rather the live stream as well. All right, this is graduation update. Today's date being June 3rd. All right, so generally, we would have heard a number of things with regards to graduation. This year, we're having a discussion. There are particular plans, yes, that I'm looking to have with regards to graduation for our 5th year. And, but obviously we're going to work together with regards to graduation. So the first thing that I want to give you, and, feel free, as I have the slides, as I finish the slide, we can have any conversation necessary, because I know sometimes that, we forget particular questions as well. So graduation this year is still under COVID protocols. And yes, you would have been listening to the news, etc. A number of things have been lifted. However, with regards to our event, we are still under those strict protocols where we will be required to have 3 feet distancing for this event. Let me also say that the theme for graduation this year, and the children will obviously be hearing this theme. This was echoed from 4th year up to now, and I thought it only fitting that we use this theme with regards to the climax of such an event. Today is the start of my tomorrow, right? That will be our theme for graduation this year. And the dates are as follows. Graduation, the official ceremony will be Saturday, the 16th of July, tentatively 4 p.m. start, and followed by a prom. Graduation committee, which is made up of a number of students representing each form, would have really desired the idea of a prom, and this prom event is really pulled together by the graduation committee. I'm the person who will really just facilitate it, and that will be another event that will be a lighter kind of event with regards to the official ceremony. So it's the official ceremony, then followed by the prom. And based on the COVID-19 monitoring unit and keep in touch with them, we were given the advice that to have 2 separate days based on the time frame that we can have for graduation, and also based on the nature of the events. All right, so that is 2 days with regards to graduation and prom. And all persons graduating are also allowed to be at the prom. All right, I know that generally some persons may not be that interested. I know not all students may be interested in the prom event, but however, the event will be opened up to all students. This one is really a student event, and it will only be exclusive to persons graduating. So in other words, you must be graduating in order to be attending the prom. It doesn't go the other way around. All right, so just be mindful of that. I think that those slides should be pretty okay. If any questions at this point, feel free, and you can use the chat as well, just in case you forget the question. Continuing on, location, we would have been looking at locations, and as you're aware, everything is a cost, and based on the spiraling increase that we've been having in costs around the island, we saw it only fit to use the Lester Vaughan School Auditorium. That is where we're at for now. And if persons will have any other ideas, they can feel free to have a discussion with me. But we're looking at the auditorium, and this will be the location for both events. The prom, however, will be more in the courtyard side and opposite the auditorium. As I said, in talking to the COVID-19 monitoring unit, they would have prescribed a couple things, and which obviously, if we want to have the event, that we must definitely be aware of and follow accordingly. All right, so we have the location of the ceremony, and again, the location of the prom. All will be at Lester Vaughan. But I will feel free to have discussions with others, private discussion, of course, with regards to location. Dress code. This is always a thing with regards to graduation. And in thinking about this one, I would have been looking at the current economy. Number one, I've been looking at catering or having a graduation that caters to all students. There was no graduation last year, from what I recall, year before. I'm not sure if they had one, but we've been, based on COVID, I think it's at least 2 years we've not been able to have a graduation. So therefore, I'm looking at a graduation that is inclusive of everyone. To date, I have at least 100 students who would have shown interest in graduating, and I'm hoping that obviously parents alike will support them. Aim for this graduation really is, in looking at her dress code, is to really preserve the last time our children will be in school uniform. Budget, I spoke about the budget, and I want them to leave an LVS mark. This will really be the last time for most of them that they walk through the halls of the Lester Vaughan School. And I want our children to actually, be recognizable when they graduate. I know it is the norm for persons to have makeup and hair extensions, lashes, etc. But I'm asking that parents that this be very, very, very conservative. I've been at graduations before where, I honestly had to look twice to find out who was the child. It is that shocking for me, but I know that makeup is a thing, and obviously some persons will be definitely interested in that, but in that aspect, but I would prefer that it is light for graduation. And this is the ceremony I'm speaking of, all right? Very conservative, because I want our students, when they walk down that aisle, as you see them parents, they look, you can see the level of maturity where they were when they first came in and where they are now. So I would love that the makeup is very conservative, all right, with regards to the dress code. And if you're seeing this slide and you look at these things, then I am simply proposing that we have a graduation where our children will reflect Lester Vaughan. They will reflect Lester Vaughan, and since we have two events, there will be a case where they will reflect Lester Vaughan students. And I'm saying students, I know a lot of them are matured. The majority of them, they're taller than me by now. I understand that, but they will represent the Lester Vaughan students, which I would have interacted with for the last 3 years, right? Well, 4 years even. So I'm asking you in that regard, parents, that we use this approach with regards to their graduation. And let me thank my student models here. All right, I cannot pay them as well for this ad, but thank them, of course, where graduates would be graduating in the Lester Vaughan school uniform. And as I said, they're reflecting Lester Vaughan. And this is again for the graduation ceremony, where they will have the stole. I will do a small video on how to wear the stole. The stoles, obviously, these stoles would have been from before, but the stoles will have the Lester Vaughan crest as well as the year of graduation. They will be fitted accordingly. This was a kind of image just trying out to see how students would look with regards to graduation, but they will be well fitted with regards to this stool. And as I said, I'll show students and parents alike how to wear the actual stool. All right, so that is my intention, that our children really reflect that of Lester Vaughan as they walk the actual auditorium. In terms of the logistics of graduation, let me just say that it's really difficult with regards to putting together this particular graduation, in that a lot of requirements or a lot of ideas that, yes, we would have proposed really had to go through the COVID-19 monitoring unit. And that obviously shapes how things are. And I just want persons to take that into perspective as we go on, that we're still in COVID. So therefore it dictates in terms of how we go. All right, so that's the tentative dress code. And as I said, this is for the ceremony. And I want persons to understand that, where our children will reflect that of Lester Vaughan. I said before that the makeup, I know that, you know, that will happen, but I'm asking that it be very, very limited. And if you saw the slide there, conservative, because I want to ensure that reflect that of Lester Vaughan. All right, so just be mindful of that. And this is a tentative view. Of course, they will be well made up when we actually see them. I see a question there from Lana. Go ahead, Lana. You can have questions as I go.
Hi, good night, everybody. I just wanted to make more of a comment. Since we are proposing a ceremony and then the following day will be the prom, I think if we're thinking that the children should be wearing their school uniform, I personally believe that the whole lashes and makeup should technically be a no-no, because conservative and very light is all subjective.
Agree.
And at the end of the day, you will always find instances where somebody will definitely go too far left or too far right, and it may cause a problem. And you don't want people to be standing out, and you don't want it to be a thing on the day.
Understood.
Normally, if they have to wear their school uniform, we require them to look a certain way in their school uniform, and that is how they have been attending school for the past so much ever years. If they want to do their lashes and their makeup and their extension, however light, however heavy for the prom, they may so do. That's just my thinking.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. That is technically correct, because if they were at school, they would not be wearing these things. I would say with regards to the makeup, I would say to that effect, really, that you will have professional pictures being taken. And I know that persons may want to remove the shine. I understand that as well. So that's why, you know, I'm saying maybe it will be a case where you have some very light powdered makeup. But as females, y'all would obviously let me know or correct me accordingly. All right, go ahead, Miss Mears. Go ahead, Nisha.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Good evening. Yes, we can. We can.
Okay, great. Okay, I was just going to speak to the makeup section of it, because I was just about to mention that these pictures are for memories. And so even though the students will be in their uniform, I still believe that they want to make sure they look their best. And so some of them, if not all, for the ladies, the young ladies, they will want to or opt to have their makeup done, so that when they look back at these pictures, it would be their best, even though they're in school uniform. So So I still believe that we should still allow them to wear the makeup, just let them be responsible enough. We can only encourage them to have it conservative, but nonetheless, to let them wear it because it is for the last, and these pictures will take them down the road.
Understood, understood. And agree, the key thing here is if you're wearing your makeup, as ladies, it will be conservative. All right. And I can understand that. But we can have some more. We can hear some others as well. We heard Lana, we heard Nisha. Go ahead. Anybody else in terms of any ideas, any reservations? Aaliyah, return to school. I'll talk about returning to school at the very end. All right, I'll speak about that. But graduation does not affect your ability to return to school. It does not. All right. So even if you have plans on returning to school, graduation will not affect that. All right. Graduation is really, an event where you see your peers. You see your peers for the last time. All right. So again, I'm not seeing much response here. So I guess we're in agreement with regards to if there's makeup, it is lightly done. It is lightly done. It is very conservative with regards to obviously taking that portrait that you're going to have. All right. Any other questions at this point from anyone before we go on?
Hello, good night.
Hi, good night.
I am a relative of Calcina.
Hi, no problem.
I would just like to put my input in terms of the extensions, in terms of hairstyles. Since the prom will be this Sunday, obviously, the girls will have to, get their hair done before the prom. So in case they want red extensions, I guess they could get them pinned up when they're doing the actual graduation on the Saturday, and just let them know for the prom, because honestly, it wouldn't be convenient for anyone to not have their hair done before the prom since it's Sunday and you have to get your hair done in advance.
Understood. And again, I can agree with that. As you said, pinned up. If it is pinned up and it looks even as natural, that is great. And I would suggest that as well. I would suggest that. I have no problem with that. But the key thing here would be, I understand the situation with regards to Saturday and Sunday, and I know it may not be feasible for everyone, but we want our students to look like students. We want them to reflect. Remember, we want them to reflect the standard that we have at the Lester Vaughan School. All right, so that is very important, and I would want all persons to hear that with regards to our young ladies. And of course, with our boys, I would expect that they have that standard as well. They set that tone with regards to their pants, with regards to their shirt. They reflect that of the Lester Vaughan School as well. Okay, right. And we can send a guideline on the dress code. So that is not a problem also. Anyone else, feel free to share. All right, so I believe persons are pretty much okay. The dates of graduation is calendared. Graduation ceremony, the official ceremony will be July 16th, and the 17th will be the prom. The prom will really be an event for students. The graduation ceremony is an event where we would have students and parents as well. So I hope that helps in terms of keeping you up to speed. We just indicated, we spoke about the dress code. The dress code would be the school uniform, and we will have all graduates would have a stool. The stool will carry the crest as well, in terms of as well as the year of the graduating class. And we will aim to ensure that any makeup done is as conservative, but we want our children to look like children. We know, yes, that they've matured a lot between, you know, the years they were at Lester Vaughan, but we want them to reflect the standard of Lester Vaughan when they walk down the actual aisle of the auditorium. All right, so I hope persons are comfortable there. All right, so if we go right along, if there are no questions there, dress code for prom, this one, the graduation class or committee rather, had indicated they wanted a red carpet event, and this one will be a formal attire, really dressed to impress and come looking sharp. That's why I would say makeup is allowed. There's no regulations there. You can wear 5 eyelashes if you care to. It is really you come looking sharp. We will have the cameras on site as well, and I have some ideas for this one as well, but I will also have a conversation with the graduation committee, which would obviously be the body of students, and then we'll finalize as well and send out information in that regard, right? So those are, you know, that's the prom, and the prom is really an event for graduates, of course, or well, they will be graduates at that time. And that's their relaxed event. I don't think there'll be any questions there. So that's generally the prom aspect, 4 p.m. tentatively on the Sunday. No, the thing is about the graduating in the COVID environment, as I said, a number of things have to go through the monitoring unit for permission. And in this vein, when I look at the logistics, it's a case where the graduates will be seated on the outside of the auditorium in the courtyard. I have a tent that can house at least 100 students. And the auditorium will then be the place for, you know, parents, guests, etc. Now, the challenge here, and this is obviously, you know, a big challenge, is that the capacity in the auditorium is approximately 200 persons. So in this case, I have to limit guests. I have to limit guests. I will not have enough space with regards to all persons. So in other words, if I have 100 graduates, then if I have 2 parents per graduate, that is really 200 people on the inside. But remember, we'll still have invited guests, etc. So therefore, it will be limited. And I hope parents that you can understand that. I'm still looking at a case where we can do a live stream. I am still investigating that, but as you know, everything comes with a charge. And where possible that you may know someone who is willing to facilitate that service, then feel free to contact me so that we can look at that kind of option. But however, the invited guests will be limited. So I just want you to be aware of that in the early. I cannot possibly have everyone, unfortunately, having 2 persons. I cannot have that. All right, so it will be limited to that effect. I can, any questions on this slide? Feel free to ask any questions. This is where we finalize certain things. Let me just say that right now, you know, our children would be doing their CXCs, graduation. I'll still be obviously planning certain things with regards to graduation, but everything, rehearsals and so on, those dates will come after they've completed their CXCs. I don't necessarily want them to be distracted at this point. So after they complete their CXCs, then we'll set up for graduation dates, and those will be at the school as well, right? Because as I said, it's a formal event. So no questions there. If there are no questions from anyone, and as I said, feel free, you may have an idea, and this idea may help in terms of shaping how we go forward. But any person who, you know, is in contact with some person who's willing to do a streaming for us, and if they're willing to donate some streaming capacity for us, that is also welcome. All right. So please feel free to contact me as well. Right. So in terms of the graduation package, you would have recognized that I would have done sponsor cards. I know how it is with sponsor cards. I know I've been here a little bit now, and I know that it is not every person's favor with regards to sponsor cards, and that's quite okay. That's quite okay. But what I did, which is something a little different to what was being done in the past, the sponsor card really is something that that we would normally use to pool funds with regards to graduation expenses. But however, in this vein, I'm using the sponsor card to help with the actual fee for each graduate. All right. And that is normally not done, but I see it only fitting in this environment to do that. So that's why sponsor cards would have been available. Of course, some people took them, others didn't, but that's okay. The package then includes, so that card, I think the cost on that card is around, if I am correct, it is $340. I think it's $340 if I'm correct on that card. So that means a total cost really for the package for graduation will be $350. We will be giving graduates printed graduation certificate, the graduation keepsake stole, one digital photo of graduate in school uniform, and tentatively this one will be done before graduation. One digital photo of the graduate receiving their scroll, and a digital portrait with graduate and family. All right, so that is our intention with regards to the graduation package. Of course, we should have a refreshment, and again, this refreshment, graduation ceremony, looking for that. And we also have the prom to think about. So we're doing two things. So we will be using the graduation costs of $350 in order to do those things, which is still, in my mind, conservative, because when I look at particular things, I'm trying to keep it within a budget that everyone can take part. All right, and that is the intention, that everyone can take part, because I know that there was no graduation last year and tentatively the year before. All right, so I want persons to be able to definitely take part in making these memories as well. All right, so that is the package with regards to the graduation. Any questions from anyone at this point? Any questions?
Hi, Mr. Holder.
Hi, go ahead.
Hi. The card that was given, so this will be a deduction with the 350, or this is additional to the 350?
Well, the card that was given has a total cost of $340. So once you're able to take the card, which is $340, then you add $10 to that, and that is your graduation cost right there. All right. So
okay.
it is designed to help persons.
Okay.
And that was the intention. As I said before, that wasn't the case. The cards were used to pool funds, but I saw it in this environment only fitting that wherever I can help, we will provide that help.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, okay, I see someone saying they need a card. Okay, that's fine. Bear in mind that this is June, and the date on those cards really will need to be within the next, I would say, the next 2 weeks. I'll send an official notice, but just bear that in mind, that those cards will have at least 2 weeks or so, because there are certain things that obviously we have to pay for and put in place before the actual graduation. And the cards were out for a little while now, so I've given persons, yes, without saying what the cost was, but given persons that opportunity. But if you need a card, please make sure you make contact, and just bear in mind that the deadline date for those cards will be swiftly approaching. because we need to put certain things in place. Okay. Any other queries from anyone? All right, so no other queries then. Yeah, right. Okay, yes, correct. And in the chat there, Google form, the form is still open for the card. Remember, the card really goes through a parent, which obviously my aim was to ensure that the parent takes responsibility for the card, and then the student can always collect the card. But as I said, the timeline on those cards will be very soon. And I would say a maximum of 2 weeks, but I cannot give any more time because I need to put things in place with regards to graduation. And obviously, if we're having a prom, certain things also need to be in place. So approximately 2 weeks I'm willing to give, but the time will soon be here. So please just look out for the notice in that regard. Still open for any questions that persons may have. So graduation before is really an event that will climax, you know, our children rather, in terms of their career at the Lester One School. You know, it will be kind of bittersweet for me because I've been around these children for a little bit. And obviously, in terms of when they walk, when they make that walk, and it is really hard. It is interesting to know that they've developed so much, but it's hard because they will be moving on. And I know parents will feel the same way with regards to them moving on. But however, it is one of those events that is remarkable. It's definitely remarkable. And you would have shared that last when they left primary school, and now here it is, couple of years after, they're now going to be leaving secondary school. So, you know, it is one of those things to definitely look forward for. And sometimes there's a tear or two that you may shed with regards to the graduation ceremony. But as I said, that is okay. That is life. That is life. And we look forward for all our children matriculating and going on to the next level. Just remember, graduating does not mean that you cannot get another year at school. It does not mean that. It is just an event where you celebrate with your friends. All right. Any questions at this point with regards to graduation? I hope everything is clear.
Could you give me a slight recap on what's happening? A little late to it. Can you get a slight recap?
Hey, good evening. No problem. Right. So based on my slides, I have here the cost for graduation. Number one, I have it fixed at $350. I think that's pretty conservative. And persons would have had the opportunity to use the cards. The cards will go towards the graduate, of course. And if you had more than one card, still bring it in, because we have persons, I have some students out there who I will still try to help. I will definitely try to help. All right. So just be mindful of that. I am trying to cater to the fifths from last year as well as the fifths for this year. So it's not just our current fifths, but the returning fifths as well. Some of them had indicated an interest in graduating. All right. The auditorium, the capacity is approximately 200 persons. I would love to have 2 persons from every household. I will not be able to, based on the COVID protocols. Graduates will be seated on the outside underneath a tent to house at least 100 graduates. I have 100 persons who would have shown interest, and I hope that they will continue on after this meeting. So invited guests obviously will be limited, and prom will be a red carpet event, event for students, really, where they have a little relaxed time. They get to shake a leg or two, and they come dressed to impress. If they choose to wear 5 eyelashes, etc., and their makeup, they feel free to do that. that is, this event caters for that. If I don't recognize them, I will recognize them, I hope. That is still very important, but this is an event for students. I will always have some people to chaperone with regards to security as well, for sure. But this is their event where they get to de-stress a little bit from the pressure of graduation. The attire for graduation will be the school uniform. And this one, I am asking that that girls mainly are conservative, very, very conservative with regards to makeup, very conservative. If they have to wear extensions, if they're wrapped, I still want to be able to recognize the individual, and I want them to reflect the less advanced student. I know they would have matured significantly throughout the years that they were at Lester Vaughan, but I want them to represent the Lester Vaughan student that I know they are, and obviously have that standard as we walk through the auditorium. All right, so I'm asking for that light, and obviously students they know the school wear by now. Everyone will be given a stool, a printed stool as well, and I'll show them how it is worn and how they will reflect the quality that we know they have. All right, that is a bit on the dress code. And this was just the rationale with regards to the dress code, just to ensure that, we preserve the last time that our children would be in school uniform. To me, that is priceless. It will be the last time that I officially see some of them, in school uniform as well, and students alike. And I can speak from the fifth year body also. So hence, we want to ensure that they leave that mark. They leave that mark of LVS. And as I have behind here, makeup, hair extensions, very, 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 I can put on another very limited and conservative. Location, the prom, which is the Sunday, the 17th, will be in the courtyard. That is, again, due to COVID protocols, that will be in courtyard. We will still have access to the auditorium, but it will be limited access. And the location of the ceremony will be the auditorium. And our team, we would have been using this theme throughout. Today is the start of my tomorrow. So today is the start of my tomorrow. Our students will be starting their tomorrow, that day of graduation or that evening of graduation. So they would have heard this theme throughout fourth year up to fifth year. So I thought it only fitting that we continue on with this theme as they proceed outwards with regards to Lester Vaughan School. And that's really it. That is really it with regards to the graduation update. And I can take any questions again from anyone. I hope that helps, Nicole. I hope that helps. All right, since no questions, I know that CXC would have started. So basically, we know that our children would have been preparing hard for their CXCs. I continue to encourage them to work, to prepare. I've been given some study planners for students, just really a calendar that highlights the dates that they can take. They can always collect one from me, where they're able to write down and stick it up with regards to their exam dates. So that's a calendar some students have already, others did not. So they can feel free to come to get one with regards to their planning. We know that CXC can be a very stressful time, and obviously coming out of an exam, some persons, you doubt if you've done well or not, but I would say you carry on. So we just want to ensure that our students are adequately preparing for their exams, continue to encourage them, continue to ensure that they know the dates of their exams. I find that is an issue, and I know students who have been absent for exams thus far, and obviously if you're absent for an exam, there's no second chance. So please ensure that our students they know the dates of their exam. They take the date from the new timetable that was sent and write it on their timetable slip. And please ensure that they're prepared for the exams. In terms of tools, I still see a number of students coming for a calculator, protractor, etc. for certain exams. So I'm just encouraging you to ensure that they're well prepared and they have adequate stationery to cover them in their exam. Remember, exams are serious business, so please ensure that the night of the exam, they still get a decent night's rest. They're not up too late trying to get him material, but they are taking the time to sleep and to wake up to get into that exam for the start. If it's a morning exam, 9 o'clock. If it's an afternoon exam, 1 o'clock. Invigilators will require them to be there for at least half an hour before the exam as well, so that they're settled. So I continue to encourage them. To work hard. Not every exam will be the same response, parents, so understand that, but just ensure that they're preparing for the exams. And as long as they're adequately studying, they're using their time wisely, that's really all we can do. And just provide that support for them. A number of parents rather have been talking about returning to Lester Vaughan. I would say that at this stage, returning to Lester Vaughan, there's no material out for that as yet. It's normally out in August, and students have to fill an application to return. Just let me say, with regards to returning, if you're absent for an exam, if you've been absent for an exam, unfortunately, then you don't meet the criteria with regards to returning. It must be a really dire situation. That is one thing that we put in place. Students must attend all their exams. SBAs must be completed. And those are certain things we put in place with regards to returning. Please note that the returning year is not automatic. It is not automatic. And what we've done with regards to returning, and the principal at some point, I don't see him in today, but he will indicate, just echo these same things, where there are no new subjects, unfortunately. Why is that? Because students are normally there for a year. So a returning year is where students improve on the subjects that they need to matriculate to go forward. So in other words, if you need the English line, the mathematics, etc., to get into BCC for your next step, then you use the returning year for that. It is a case where also we would have tried this year, where some of our returning students came in. They did only 2 subjects, so it meant that they were not required to be on plant every single day. That is the same approach taken in that regard. All right, so returning does not indicate that you're doing 5 to 6 subjects. Normally there's a minimum number of 4 subjects, but there are normally no new subjects, unfortunately, because if you're doing a new subject, the SBA component takes 2 years. The SBA component is started in 4th form fully, but that takes 4th form and 5th form to complete. We found that students are unable to complete the SBA if they're doing a new subject, and hence there's no new subjects allowed. It must be under a special circumstance, but there are normally no new subjects allowed in that returning year. It is a case where you know what you need to go forward, and hence you do it. So let me just put that out there for those questions that would have been coming in. And I would say also ensure that you would have sent applications to BCC, SJPI, the Vocational Training Board, Barbados Youth Advanced Corps, because we stress those things. We carried out seminars on these institutions as well, and we hope that our students would have applied for the next level. All right, so just make sure those things would have been done as well. All right, so that is something of interest, and I think all persons should be aware of that. Any other questions at this point? Is only one person allowed to come with the student. This is for the graduation you're speaking of. Oh, okay, for the graduation. I'm not saying that as yet, but I would say that I would say that at this point, I cannot take a guess from every, I cannot take two persons from every household. Two persons mean two guests. I cannot. But I'm not saying it's restricted to only one person, but it will be on a case-by-case basis. All right, that's how we will do it. But just bear in mind, I want everybody to bear in mind, yes, that, you know, we're still under a COVID environment. And unfortunately, I still have to adhere to the 3 feet spacing, and we still must be wearing masks. All right, so this is the challenge that we're still under. Okay, so on a case-by-case basis, and that's how we'll go from there. Any other questions from anyone? All right, I guess I covered everything. There are no other questions. And of course, if you have questions that pop in, feel free to send me an email as well. I will respond as well. So let me just say that, you know, I want to thank everyone for coming out this evening. If there are no other questions, you know, I take the opportunity to wish you a good evening. Continue to stay safe, of course. Have a good night, and I will definitely, as CFCs get on the way, as they're completing more or less, then I will start planning or sending rather through Google Classroom the graduation rehearsal schedule. And please note that once you have intention to graduate, then you must attend the rehearsal. That is extremely important. In terms of funds for graduation, I will be open to take funds for graduation, where I will write a receipt, and you will have that as your record as soon as once your student brings in the funds. That's no problem. All right, and just remember, the cards will use to supplement any additional. All right, and I am looking to collect cards within 2 weeks. I would say 2 weeks max. 2 weeks. I cannot go any further in that regard. All right, so if any additional questions, feel free, send a message. I will respond. And if no other questions, then I'm really going to, I'll close the stream, I'll close the Zoom, and everyone, please have a good night. If there's need for another update, I will use this forum again to update everyone with regards to progress. All right. For students who have exams on Monday, please turn up at the school. Monday is a holiday, but however, CXC is still going on. So do not feel that it is a bank holiday and you're not coming to CXC. Exams are still on for those who have exams. I think it's biology from what I recall. I don't recall the other one. So please make sure that you show up on time. All right, so if no other questions from anyone, I'm wishing you a good night and stay safe.
Good night.
All right, take care.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Yeah.
Sure.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Blessed night.